Alright guys, after watching my last video, the audio was quiet enough I decided that I would do another quick video here, maybe see if I can make it to where it was a little louder, to where it was a little more easily heard. That and when I uploaded the video it actually ended up cutting a couple minutes off of it, so um, just wanted to kind of fix some of that stuff. Maybe spend a little more time on the fish that are actually in the tank now, and less time explaining what's happened in the last several months. So, anyway, everything's doing really well. The new scaping has seemed to have kind of brought out the personality in some of these fish. There's been several in here that have been the same since day one, but having a little bit more of a territory for stuff to kind of bicker over in that has been a welcome change. A little more natural behavior, and it's just been a good deal all the way around. Really happy with this group of fish. I'm about to probably thin the stock out a little bit. I've picked my keeper, Amphilophus labiatus, red devil, and that's going to be this guy. It doesn't show up very well on the camera. The light kind of washes him out on film, but he's actually very, very dark, dark orange, almost red. So that's why I picked this one, and he's also pretty mellow. The other three are a little more on the aggressive end. Especially this one with a little more pronounced profile. This is a really good looking fish as well, but he's quite a bit more aggressive. Something that would be more suited towards a wet pet tank. And I may keep him and go that route, at least for a while. I don't know, we'll see. Gotta see how tank space looks when I do come to that time. As well as I've got two Paraneutropolis Sincipillum, or however you say that. Anyway, and I suspect that they are both females. This one has a little more brightly colored. It's the one that I've always suspected to be a female, and the other one had just a little bit different head shape, and I thought maybe it was just an immature male, but it's up there around the 10-inch mark now, and just not really showing any male characteristics at all. So I'm guessing that it's also a female. So I may take this fish out, and the next time I get a shipment from Dan at Cichlids of the Americas, have him pick me out a male and introduce that to this tank. Other than that, the Bacordi, they're a fairly recent addition and fit in very well. Really like these fish. Very, very similar to the Persei. Not at all shy, very gregarious, awesome eaters, very active. Been good additions, as well as these silver dollars. You know, they've been a fish that in a smaller tank have always been very blah to me, very bland, just not that great. But in something this size, they can kind of stretch out a little more and be a little more active, and I don't have to worry about bioload much in a tank this size. In a smaller tank, I've always, kind of had to keep the stocking as low as possible, trying to keep the bioload as much to a minimum as possible, and in this tank, that's just not an issue. So, they've been fun. I really like them in here. The peacock bass are something that I've been wanting to give another shot, and I really like the azules. The kelbri are awesome fish as well, but the azules have been really fun. Really liking them. And for anybody that's a peacock bass guy and has not given the Petinia splendidea a try. The snooks. Let's see if I can find them. Where are the snooks today? Oh, there they are. Back over here on this side. Anyway, the snooks are very, very similar to the peacock bass. They don't get quite as large. I mean, they can potentially still hit around 2 feet. So they still are a very large fish, but not quite as big as some of your peacock bass, and they exhibit a little more typical cichlid behavior as well. They're kind of a halfway ground between a peacock bass and a normal cichlid. So anyway, they're very fun. Anyway, now I'll just kind of maybe focus on some stuff that pops out to me. I've got so much going on in this tank, it's hard for me to even figure out what to talk about. It takes a long time for me to upload a long video, so I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible. That's probably still going to end up being around 15 minutes, though. It always seems to. The Red Terrors, the Feste, they came from AJ. I can't remember what his YouTube name is anymore, off the top of my head. Anyway, they've been pretty high quality Feste. Feste have always been a fish that I've always wanted to keep, but they're quite fragile. They're not a very robust or hardy cichlid, and I've not had a whole lot of luck with them, to be honest. They seem to be, from a small size, quite susceptible to internal parasites and things like that, and they have seemed to do very well in this larger setup. They seem to kind of have started thriving a little more in here, so that's good. I'm excited to see what they turn out to. I've got, I think, 4 of them in this tank. Probably keep a male and a female, if that. I don't know. We'll just have to see how stuff pans out down the road. This Barred Midas was a very, very mellow fish until I rescaped this tank, and it's kind of brought him out. He's started to be a little more pushy. Does a lot more flaring, a lot more chasing, and it just kind of stirred him up and brought him out of his shell. I took the female out, the female Barred Midas, as well as the other male, and he kind of went into a remission at that point. He had always exhibited a very large nuchal hump like he is now, and after I took them out, that kind of disappeared, and he kind of just sulked around and wasn't very active. I've always liked him, but he's now asserting himself more, and I expect that he will be the king of the tank for a while. He's not quite large enough to push aside the Persei, who's just gorgeous. Love this fish. Awesome, awesome fish. Lots of personality, lots of color. And the Carpintus. But he's catching up. Those 2 fish are a little more mature and have started to slow down in growth, and he's starting to take on another spurt. So I expect that he will probably knock them off the top of the podium and become the ruler of the tank, probably within the next couple of months. You can see the Persei kind of putting him in check right now, but I don't expect that that's going to be the case for much longer. And then this Jag is actually one of the most mellow fish in this tank. It just does not show hardly any aggression at all. It and Panama Loisel, which is about an inch smaller than this Jag, kind of bicker back and forth between each other a little bit. But as of right now, the Loisel is actually further up the ranks than this Jag is. Been a very mellow fish, which is good. Then my Umbi that I'm growing out. This guy's got a ton of attitude. He thinks that he's pretty tough stuff. He's not even half as big as some of these fish, and he's always trying to assert himself, flaring at stuff, and got a lot of personality. He's pretty full of himself, pretty cocky fish. Anyway, it's kind of hard to film stuff in here because I start trying to focus on something and there's so much area for them to cover that they go towards the back of the tank and whatnot, and it makes them hard to see, so I apologize for that. I kind of start going off on something, and then the fish disappears from view and makes it kind of hard for you guys to follow, but that's kind of one of the things you have to deal with a big tank. The silver arowana has thrived in this setup. The cichlids basically completely ignore it, and just added a little different dynamic to the tank, and that's been pretty fun. I've always really liked the arowanas, especially in a deep tank to where they can exist with cichlids and stuff and not get picked on and injured. I'm excited to see this guy grow. He's about 8 inches now, so they can grow, you know, a couple inches a month. So excited to see where that guy ends up. Anyway, that kind of covers everything that I can think of. Like I said, I'm going to try and step my videos up a little bit. Try and keep you guys a little more involved. Like I said, this time of year it gets pretty hectic, and with everything that I had to deal with my big male on B, that kind of took all of my ambition to take videos and upload them. Kind of took that away. So anyway, hopefully I can get back on track and keep you guys a little better updated and let you guys kind of follow my journey here. I know when I first started keeping cichlids that I always dreamed of having a big community setup that was large enough that I could keep some of these big bruiser fish in a community setup together. And anyway, I've really enjoyed it, and it's a lot of fun. I can sit in front of this tank for hours and I never get bored. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but very passionate about it, and I've actually about talked myself into maybe building another one within the next, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. It's not going to be right away, but I do have plans to build another tank one day. Something a little larger, maybe. Not that this one isn't every bit big enough, but I've only got so much space, and if I'm going to do it, I might as well make it big enough that I'm happy with it forever. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.